The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon on the evening of April 25, 1971, casting long amber shadows across the streets of southeast Washington, D.C. For 13-year-old Carol Denise Spinks, it was supposed to be a routine errand. Her older sister had sent her out to grab a few groceries from the local 7-Eleven on Wheeler Road, just a short walk across the Maryland border. Carol was a bright, responsible girl known for her smile and her dependable nature. She stepped out into the cooling spring air, likely thinking of nothing more than the task at hand and the short walk back home. But as the twilight deepened into night, the minutes stretched into hours, and Carol never returned. The silence that followed her disappearance was the first note in a symphony of terror that would soon grip the entire nation's capital. Remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime. Before we carry on with the story, the disappearance of Carol Spinks immediately sent shockwaves through her tight-knit neighborhood. Her family, frantic with worry, contacted the authorities, but in 1971, the protocols for missing children were vastly different from the Amber Alerts we know today. For 6 agonizing days, the search continued, with neighbors and police scouring the areas around Wheeler Road and the Suitland Parkway. The hope that Carol might simply be lost or staying with a friend slowly withered as the week dragged on. The community watched the news with bated breath, praying for a miracle that seemed increasingly unlikely. On May 1st, 1971, the nightmare reached its grim conclusion. A passerby noticed something out of place on a grassy embankment behind St. Elizabeth's Hospital, situated right next to the northbound lanes of Interstate 295. There, just 1,500 feet south of Suitland Parkway, the body of Carol Spinks was discovered. She had been discarded like refuse along the very highway that thousands of commuters traveled every day. The discovery was more than just a tragedy. It was a message. The killer had chosen a location that was both secluded yet highly visible, a hallmark of the predator, who would soon be known as the Freeway Phantom. The forensic examination revealed a harrowing ordeal. Carol had been physically and sexually assaulted before being strangled to death. Crucially, the medical examiner determined she had only been killed a few days prior to her discovery, meaning she had been held captive for nearly half of her disappearance. She was found fully dressed, but there was one chilling detail that would become a signature of the killer. Her shoes were missing. This small, inexplicable theft added a layer of personal cruelty to an already senseless crime, suggesting a killer who took trophies or derived a dark satisfaction from stripping his victims of their dignity. As the Metropolitan Police Department began their investigation, they found themselves facing a ghost. There were no witnesses to the abduction, no fingerprints at the scene, and no clear motive beyond the predatory whims of a monster. The location of the body, so close to the bustling I-295, suggested the killer was intimately familiar with the city's geography and its arterial roads. He used the freeways as his hunting grounds and his dumping sites, moving through the city like a phantom in the night. The Phantom of I-295 had claimed his first victim, but the terror was only beginning. In the months that followed, more girls would go missing under eerily similar circumstances. Darlenia Johnson, Brenda Crockett, and others would follow Carol into the darkness, each found abandoned along the DC area freeways. The moniker Freeway Phantom began to appear in the headlines of the daily news, reflecting the growing realization that a serial killer was at large. The city was paralyzed by fear. Parents walked their children to school, and the once vibrant streets of southeast DC fell silent after dark. The Phantom seemed to mock the authorities, at one point even forcing a victim to call home, leaving a haunting trail of clues that led nowhere. Despite decades of investigation, thousands of leads, and the emergence of several suspects over the years, the case of Carol Spinks and the Freeway Phantom remains officially unsolved. The files have grown thick with dust, but the memory of the young girl who went to the store and never came home remains a painful scar on the history of Washington, D.C. The grassy embankment by I-295 stands as a silent monument to a life cut short and a justice never served. Carol was the first, a tragic herald of a darkness that the city would never truly forget. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the Calendar of Crime.